Hello everybody, this is Rudra Pradhan here. Welcome to Engineering Econometrics. Today's discussion is on nonlinear regression modeling. We have discussed this concept in the last class, and that too the issue of nonlinearity in the context of regression modeling, and that is the use of dummy modeling concept. So, first of all we have discussed what is the dummy modeling and how we can develop a concept of dummy, and that too how it is useful in the context of regression modeling. A dummy modeling itself is a kind of linear structure, but when we connect with multiple dummies and try to extract the interactive effect, then it becomes a nonlinear modeling. So, what we can do here? So, we first like to know the dummy variable concept. So, how a dummy variable can be created and how we can interpret, what is the importance, and how it can be used in the estimation process, and then how to obtain the estimated output and the kind of interpretation. All these things are already discussed in the last lecture, and today we will continue with this similar kind of flow, and that too we will connect with interactive models. So, that means there are two dummies. Just if you go for say a cross product or dot product, then it becomes a interactive effect, and before you go for dot product and cross product, so it should have a kind of meaningful interpretations. That too there must be a logic behind this interactive effect. So, if the theory and logic will be supportive, then you can introduce the interactive effect. Then as a result, the particular model will be treated as a nonlinear models. So, let us discuss on that aspect, and specifically we will discuss today the interactive effect, and that to interactions regression modeling. And for that again just have a overlook multiple regressions, linear, nonlinear. So, we in the last class we specifically discussed this aspect only, linear modeling concept, and that to the use of dummy modeling, and then we are here to represent the interactive concept, and after that we can directly go to the nonlinear structures where we have a different kind of functional form that automatically brings the nonlinear concept, and that to the the behavior of the nonlinear regression modeling. So, let us first discuss the interactive effect, then we will move into the kind of nonlinear structure. So, here the interaction in a simple way. So, we can start with the regression model like y equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 x 1 beta 2 x 2, and then beta 3 x 1 and x 2. So, where x 3 and x 1 and x 2 is the interactive effect. So, means again the issue is x 1 is the independent variable, x 2 is another independent variable. So, when you are actually multiplying, then that becomes a interactive variables, and for that the logic or the kind of theory must be very supportive. Otherwise, you cannot just add a variable and go through the kind of estimation process. It may bring the multi-collinearity issue or some other issues. So, as a result, there should be a logic and there should be a kind of flow through which we can introduce the interactive effect. So, first of all we can explain this particular interactive effect with a kind of example, and same examples we can use in the context of dummy modeling, which we have already discussed in the last class. Okay. So, here the same structure. So, that means the model is y equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 x 1 beta 2 x 2 and beta 3 x 1 x 2, where we have a without interaction term, then the effect of x1 on y is measured by either beta 1 or and then beta 2, but with interactive effect, then the y can be measured by the kind of the involvement of the beta 3. So, that means technically, so we have actually two variables x1 and x2, and the judgment will be on the basis of the involvement of x1 and x2 and the kind of intersections. So, which can bring the issue of y, that is the dependent variables. So, now so what we can do here, so we can just bring a practical example to highlight this particular issue. Graphically, this is what the structure, and means technically if you go through the previous model. So, here beta 0, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3 are all parameters. So, now depending upon the involvement, so when we connect with the data, then we have estimated model, then the parameters can transfer into some kind of figures, like in this case. So, where beta 0 equal to 1, beta 1 equal to 2 and beta 2 equal to 3 and beta 4 equal to say 4. So, this is how the kind of case. So, now what we can do, once we put the x values, like for instance x1, x2 and x1, x2 simultaneously, then you can have the kind of effect. So, if you use kind of dummy representation, then these variables can be represented as a 0 1, and that means like yes no kind of situation, like last class we have discussed the gender issue and the marital status. So, when gender and marital status will be clove, then this becomes a this becomes an interactive effect. So, so how we can actually address such kind of issue, and what is the beauty of these models, that you can actually reflect from this particular figure. So, that means technically it is kind of discrimination or different classifications. So, what is the like yesterday discuss about the salary predictions with respect to the gender issue and the kind of marital status, and both are represented by the dummy. So, obviously, it is a question of yes no. So, after getting the estimated equations, so you just put x 1 or a dummy variable d 1 either in the form of 0 or 1. So, if it is a 0, then it will go to a particular labels, let us say male marital status and then female marital status, something like that. Then as a result, you will find two different kind of flow. So, this is the case here. So, this is the estimated model, and now we just have one kind of structure, for instance x 1 and x 2. So, we allow either 0 or 1, here also we will either 0 and 1. So, in the first group of classifications, so you can have actually 0 0 or 1 1. So, now if it is 1 1, then these models can be transferred into this one, and if it is 0 0, this model can be transferred into this one. So, here we are allowing the dummy with respect to x 2 and the other one is a constants, then the interactive effect will also change accordingly. So, that means technically here the if you put 0, then this becomes 1 plus 2 x 1 only. By default the x 2 will be removed in the process, but when actually you put 1, then all will be there in the system. So, that is the difference between the kind of model with a kind of dummy and model without dummy. That means technically yes no. So, one group with the other group. So, there is a difference, and in this figure, so we find the difference is this much only. Okay. So, if you go to the Excel sheet or any kind of spreadsheet, so this is what the kind of spreadsheet, and we need actually y variables, and that too the information will be like this, and then x 1 and x 2, and by using x 1 and x 2 you can create actually a interactive effect just to multiply these two. So, for instance, here actually the sample observations are cross sectional type, and y informations are here, x 1 informations are here, x 2 informations are here. Then by using x 1 and x 2 interactive effect, just you multiply. So, 3 into 1, so that is 3, then this becomes 8 into 5 40, 3 into 2 6, and 5 into 6 30. So, this will be the another information which is created for the interactive variable, and then finally, you have to estimate y with respect to x 1, x 2 and x 1, x 2 simultaneously. So, then we like to check how is the behavior of this particular models and the kind of interpretations. So, likewise you can actually develop different kinds of models, and that to signify the importance by using the dummy dummy concept and the kind of interactive effect. So, now come to the practical. So, connecting to the last class example. So, y equal to alpha plus beta 1 male and beta 2 married, and then beta 3 divorced. So, that means technically, so there are 3 variables and all will be represented in the form of dummy. So, for instance, in the case of males, so we can answer is either yes or no. So, then we can put say 1 and 0. Similarly, married, so yes no, again we can put 1 0, and then divorce yes no. So, yes no, and then we can put actually 1 0. So, like this. So, obviously, the kind of structure in such a way. So, you can understand very clearly, and then you can actually connect with the estimated model. So, that you can get to know what is exactly difference between the these variables, that too with respect to male, married and divorce. So, so interactive effect will be male married or female married or male divorce, female divorce. So, when we are connecting two variables simultaneously, then it becomes a kind of interactive. So, now how we can actually quantify the impact altogether. So, that means let us say it is starting with male, married and divorce, that is what the kind of interactive. Then obviously, say let us say it is a completely female, and then by default the beta 1 equal to 0, beta 2 equal to 0 and beta 3 equal to 0. So, alpha itself the weight factor which can represent the kind of impact on y, and then if actually it is in the case of say male, then beta 1 will be added into the process, and again beta 1 added into the process means now y impact will be alpha plus beta. If y equal to simply alpha, then that is the male contributions, and then now for female contribution, now if add actually a male component, then y equal to alpha plus beta 1, where male will be considered a yes, and the code which we use as 1 to represent the male with respect to the female impact. So, then beta 2 is another dummy which may be represented as a married, unmarried. So, if it is married, then yes, that can be represented as a 1. If we are not unmarried, then it will be represented as dummy. Again the description will be on the basis of 0. So, male married. So, then if male yes and married yes, then y will be alpha plus beta 1 plus beta 2, and otherwise if say y equal to alpha plus beta 1 male only, then that means it becomes beta unmarried, so where beta 2 coefficient will be 0. So, likewise you will find different kind of options. Similarly, male divorce, female divorce, and then married again divorce, there is a chance married but not divorce. So, likewise there are lots of interactive effect you can find. Again, so when there are multiple dummies and multiple options are there, so you will by default get lots of interactive effect. For instance, having male, married and divorce. So, just connect male and merit, you multiply, then you will get a interactive effect, and I am very sure that this particular interactive effect, for instance male merit, so is not a question of multi-collinearity problem. It is rather give high weightage and high value to this particular modeling process to investigate any kind of engineering problem. So, it is not necessarily every times you can use male, female, or the kind of married, unmarried, divorced, not divorced kind of thing. It can be any kind of engineering problem or any kind of socioeconomic problems we can actually apply and develop models as per the particular requirement. So, it is the kind of structure through which you can understand the interactive models, and that too with the help of dummy modeling. And by the way, the same in difference we can obtain through analysis of variance, that is called as 2A ANOVA, because it is a 3 levels we are going: genders, then marital status, and then finally whether divorce or not divorce. So, it is a multiple layers through which you can find out. So, ultimately the sample will be sample will be divided into 2 parts. So, that means actually starting with let us say like this, genders and marital status. So, here actually married and gender status will be male female, and then marital status yes no, and then divorce. So, it is also yes no. So, now in the case of gender, so male females, it may be represented say 1 and say 0, and this can be 1, this can be 0, and this can be 1, this can be 0. So, as a result, so every sample can be, so for instance the cross sectional sample which you have here in the previous previous kind of situation, for instance this one. So, these are all actually dummies. So, you just catch one samples, then ask maybe the kind of their marital status and the kind of whether they are divorced or not divorced. So, that is the kind of things you have to observe, and then finally you can go for the kind of classification or the kind of difference. So, the same difference we can observe through analysis of variance, and the previous example which we have discussed earlier is 1-way ANOVA, and this is 2-way ANOVA. Likewise, you can get lots of such similar kind of dummy, and that to the creation of interactive effect by using the dummy or by using non-dummy. But ultimately, so it depends upon how many layers through which you like to find out the difference between these two groups. So, ANOVA can be used and to check the similar kind of flow, and that's process technically called as 2-way ANOVA. And in this example, this should allow the effect of marital status to vary with genders. So, that means male the marital status and female the marital status. Again say married with divorce, married without divorce, right. So, these are the kind of classifications you will find, and that can be very frequently or very easily can be used through dummy modeling, and then the kind of interactive kind of effect. So, that means technically this kind of problem, it is mandatory to know or to use the dummy modeling first. Then by using this dummy modeling or the theoretical kind of flow, you can create an interactive effect, and then finally the model becomes non-linear ones. So, whether it is a linear one or non-linear one. So, the estimation process will be more or less same. You are supposed to get the parameters value. So, after getting the parameters value, so with respect to dummy, so you can allow 0, 1, and then finally the model will actually differentiate each other as per the kind of model fit or as per the kind of model requirement. And the same analysis can be checked through analysis of variance. So, if it is one kind of attributes, then we can go for 1-way ANOVA. If it is 2 attributes, you can go for 2-way ANOVA. If it is actually 3 such kind of attributes, we can go 3-way ANOVA. So, that means different layers we can altogether go to represent this particular situation, and whenever there are different layers in this particular system, then by default there will be the interactive effect. So, this same interactive effect we will study through regressions and then check the reliability of the regressions, and if not, then you can use actually direct ANOVA and check the difference whether these two groups with respect to a particular objectives are different to each other, and if there is a difference whether it is statistically significant or not, and that is what the issue, and that is more important to understand the concept and investigate as per the particular engineering requirement. So, ultimately the model will be like this. So, till kind of till this particular issue of 2 ANOVA, the theoretical structure will be like this, and here every dummy is used once. So, that means technically in these models we will not find any interactive effect, but by using these 3 dummies, so we can have here actually a interactive effect. That means first male, married and divorced, and that is the one way kind of investigations. Then first 2 dummies male married, that can be one dummy, then again male divorce, this is another dummy. So, male married and male divorce, so 2 interactive effect, and that can be added into this modeling process, and as a result this model becomes nonlinear one compared to this the particular model which is available here is linear ones, where we are just integrating y with male, married and divorced, and male are the it is a 0 1 represent. If you are male, you can say yes, and that will be coded as a 1s. If not males, then you can you say no, then that will be coded as 0. Similarly, married. So, you are married or unmarried without any issue of male and female, which we have already taken care in the first dummy, and again in the third dummy we will be asking divorce or not divorce. So, that means this will come just after marriage. So, if there is a marriage, then the issue of divorce or not divorce is coming into the picture. So, if the issue is not male female, then marital status will not come into the picture. So, that means the issue of married and the issue of divorce will be part of these games, and these attributes by default can be connected and bring the kind of logical interpretations and bring the reality, and then that need to be investigated and checked as per the model requirement. So, here is the case, and this two here male if you are saying that male is a variable. So, then obviously, so the information behind male will be 1s, that is the yes, okay. Otherwise, by simple no, and that will be coded as a 0. So, that is the simple move while doing the dummy modeling, and that to understand the concept of interactive effect. Similarly, married, in the case of married you can come here. In the case of married, so answer will be definitely yes or no. If it is yes, then we can put 1, if no, then we can put 0. And similarly, divorce, so whether it is a yes or no. So, if it is yes, then you can put 1, if not, then you can put actually 0. So, now in the first end we have to fill the spreadsheet by asking individuals whether they are married and whether they are divorced or not. Then gender by default you can actually ask them so whether male and female. So, against male and females we like to check whether the guy is the particular candidate is married or unmarried. And again next questions, if they are married, then obviously the question is whether you divorce or you are staying with your family. So, that is the kind of things, and then we can integrate with male married. So, that can be one integrations. So, and then by default the other alternative will be female married, because here we are putting male equal to yes, that to code 1, if not it is a 0. So, by default the deficit or the total effect minus this particular effect, then the counterpart will be the female effect. So, that is the kind of things we can integrate, and that means all these interactive effect will be artificially created concept and the variables, and which is actually very effective sometimes and depending upon the particular engineering problem. And this is what the summary of this particular case. So, we have actually technically 3 parameters depending upon the kind of dummy variables we use, male, married and divorce. So, now since it is a question of male, the counterpart will be by default female. So, in that case, so it depends upon so that means basic starting is alpha, and then if it is a case of male, then that particular component will be 1, and as a result the impact will be moved to y equal to alpha plus beta 1s, right. So, similarly, if it is married, then this will be called multiplied with 1, because that is the answer, means that is the answer for yes, and as a result beta 2 will be added into the process. Then ultimately the male impact will be beta 1 plus beta 2, and then actually the kind of beta 4, where married is yes, and as a result, so beta 4 male when we are putting 1. So, that will be again added to this beta 2 impact. So, like this. So, this is what the kind of case, and likewise we will have actually different kind of structures. So, this is actually merit, and when we are putting actually let us say 1. So, by default, so this will be also 1. So, by default, so the final impact will be beta 2 plus beta 4. So, that means this is the male, then male merit, and then the interactive effect. So, if it is if not, then by default the merit concept for female concept it will put 0. So, beta 2 will not be there, and then when we put merit equal to 0. So, by default so the particular component will be removed, and then only one single component will be added into the process. Similarly, in the case of divorce, so beta 3. So, when beta 3 is yes, so beta 3 will be added into the process, and then by default the interactive effect will be come into the picture. So, as a result the final impact will be beta 1 plus beta 3 plus beta 5, and that too by using the divorce component, and then again by using male and marrieds, this will be the difference. So, you see there is a big difference, beta 2 here beta 1 and beta 4 extra, and again here beta 3 and corresponding to beta 3 beta 1 and beta 5. That is the counterpart between the male and female, and that with respect to male metastatus and the kind of divorce case. Okay. So, these are the things which you can easily actually kind of things we can apply, and okay. By the way, so we just summarizing the things, and the model start with the y and intercept, and then against genders male female representation yes no 1 0, then marital status married unmarried. So, again yes no 0 1 0 status, and again divorce yes no and that 2 1 0 status. So, if every time yes, then so every component will be added into the process. So, alpha beta 1 beta 3 beta 5 alpha beta 1 beta 2 beta 4. So, that is what the difference, and the male will go to the direct impact, and the interaction effect will be through male married and male divorce. So, for that actually 2 variables must, and they should be logically connected, because male married possibles and male divorce also possible. Similarly, the counterpart will be female married, female divorce against male unmarried, and then in that case, so divorce by default will not come into the pictures, but the sample will be structuring in such a way that there will be a candidate, he must be married, and then the question of divorce or not. So, the addition of divorce component will be coming depending upon whether the guy is married or not. So, if it is married, then the divorce issue will be coming into the pictures. If they are not married, then the question of divorce will not coming into the picture. That is why what is more important here, that data restructuring. So, depending upon the data, so we need actually specific samples through which actually you develop this kind of model and do the kind of estimations. So, that means technically for instance, if you like to keep all these three simultaneously, let's say gender, marital status and divorce. So, you try to actually bring such a way that so all the components will be in a kind of there in the systems, and then we can observe easily, and again with the help of estimation and the kind of dummy interpretation, by default you will find the kind of difference between male and female, and that too with respect to married, unmarried and divorced, not divorced kind of. So, here is the clear cut a kind of case, and after seeing these ones you can easily understand the kind of difference. This is the female impact and this is the male impact. So, female case only alpha single and alpha beta 1 here. So, beta 1 is extra added here. So, now here alpha beta 2 marital status case and divorce case alpha beta 3, and by default here beta 1 will be added every time in the process, because that is the signal about the genders, and when we are saying male then it will be actually yes, and that will be like to you just multiply with 1 and that coefficient will be added into the intercept, and if not then that will be removed from the particular process and only left out terms will be in the system, and that will be the interpretation for the rival. That too in this case it is the impact of the female female, and that too weight of the female compared to male. So, these are all kind of issues through which you can address this particular problem, and what I can like to highlight here. So, we have gone through the dummy modeling structures and how dummy variable can understand and can use for integrating with iterative effect, that to bring the nonlinearity concept, and for that we have already discussed in details what are the instances we can actually apply this, and then what is the kind of interpretation, the kind of classification, the kind of discriminations, and then we like to actually check all these details through a spreadsheet and the kind of estimated outputs, and for that we can have a data set and create a dummy, and then by using the data and dummy we can create interactive effect informations, and then finally go by estimation process, and after getting the estimated output again you will find how they are different with respect to different attributes. So, we will discuss this particular problem again with a solid data set and the kind of examples. With this we will stop here. Thank you very much.